Our host, Kevin Haugen.
Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon. Welcome into today's Community Comment. Again, I'm your host, Kevin Haugen. It is a Veterans Day themed Community Comment this afternoon. In our first segment here, we have Jim Bublitz in to talk about Badger Honor Flight. Jim, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Later on in the show, we'll be talking with representatives from Marine Corps League Detachment 359 here in Beaver Dam. Looking forward to that conversation, as well as the Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin at 1:30 this afternoon. So we'll be talking with lots of great local veterans groups and all the wonderful things that they're doing for veterans in our area and highlighting today that is Veterans Day. And again, Veterans Day on 95.3 WBEV is presented by K&B Trees, Gina Omeg State Farm, Hometown Glass and Improvement, and Charleston House. Appreciate everyone there supporting what we're doing today with Veterans Day and highlighting, again, all the wonderful things that local groups are doing to support veterans and all the support that's needed for veterans after they come home and their service to our country. But again, in our first segment here, we are joined with Jim Bublitz, who is no stranger to Community Comment, has been on quite a few times. Jim, it's been a little bit since you've been on Community Comment.
Yeah, I've been gone a lot.
Yeah, you're a busy man. We spent literally 25 minutes before the show got started today talking about everything that Jim Bublitz is involved with, and it is an extensive list.
And I keep moving because then the sheriff's department can't find me. But now my cover's blown.
That's right. The building's getting surrounded as we speak, so we'll have to escort Jim out at some point here. But again, I want to thank Jim for taking some time from his really busy schedule to sit down and talk with us about the wonderful group that is Badger Honor Flight. And just the wonderful things that they do for veterans here in the state of Wisconsin. And before we dive into some of the statistics and numbers with Badger Honor Flight, Jim, if you don't mind, I know it's a very popular group. People know about it, but I just like to start off talking about what Badger Honor Flight is and what they do for veterans out here in the state.
Well, Badger Honor Flight is part of the nationwide honor flight system, and that started about 2008, 2007. I think I'd have to look back the exact time, but the goal was to take, at that time, the World War II veterans to Washington, D.C. to see their own monument there. And as that snowballed throughout the United States, at one time there was as many as, I believe, 145 different hubs in the United States. Some of them stopped when they took all the World War II veterans. Our Badger Honor Flight is out of Madison, Wisconsin. There's several more in Wisconsin. There's one in Milwaukee and Appleton, and also up in Wausau and in Superior. Okay. So we have a large group, and La Crosse.
Wow, so there is quite a bit of, there's a lot of help here, a lot of groups in the state of Wisconsin that are part of this Badger Honor Flight.
Well, Badger Honor Flight is a separate entity, but we're part of the national organization. Right. And Badger Honor Flight started in 2009. The first flight was in 2009, and we scheduled it, and we had, I started in 2010, right after the first flight. But I remember the group talking about, I don't know how we're going to pay for this. And it just snowballed and snowballed. And it was really great. We were happy to have 2 flights a year, then 4 flights a year. Now we're up to 6 flights a year, 3 in the spring and 3 in the fall. But it is a trip of a lifetime for our veterans. And many of them will never get to Washington, D.C. to see their monument. So that was started with the World War II veterans. And a lot of them had difficulty in walking and needed to be in wheelchairs. So we provided wheelchairs. We provided buses that had lifts. And some of the flights that I went on was my main job was to see that they were lifted out of the seat and into the wheelchair and saw that they were taken care of during this time. I thoroughly enjoyed that. These are my fellow veterans. My father was a World War II veteran, and of course I'm a Vietnam veteran. And now it's come to be that we are taking Korean and Vietnam veterans. And the World War II veterans that we took, we still hear from their families that dad and mom, many of the ladies served in World War II, and that they still talk about how their parent was so pleased with the trip. every veteran that goes needs to have a guardian with them. And the guardian that goes along has to be under a certain age, under the age of 70, and it can't be a spouse. Now, the reason being that started with the World War II group because they were older. And to walk around with somebody who was, if you were already 75 and your spouse is 75, it's a pretty hard day, and mom's not going to, or dad's not going to be able to push mom in the wheelchair. So that's how that started. But we still hold to that because it's a trip with your fellow veterans. And that's a time for camaraderie. And the camaraderie amongst the Korean and the Vietnam veterans is the same as it was in World War II veterans. They get a chance to talk to each other, and we have the worst the worst kept secret in the world is the mail call. It's fun to watch our veterans on the way home open up a big envelope with mail from their family and their friends and the children in school who sincerely write letters. When you go on a trip, we also do terminally ill, what we call TLC, their last chance. And if they are not going to be around when we schedule a flight, we've done individual flights or gone on commercial flights separately. We want to make sure that they get there. So our recent trips have been mostly Vietnam, a few Korean veterans. Some of the Korean veterans are still a little shy about going. I know our Vietnam veterans we're in the range of about 800 in the waiting list, which has really gone down quite a bit. We were at the range of about 1,400 to 1,500 at one time waiting list.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. How many in a flight can go to help knock down that waiting list?
That is about 90 to 95,
okay,
depending on how many have guardians. Some have guardians that meet us in Washington, D.C., and that works out real well, too. So that leaves room for another veteran on the flight. So, and then when we get to Washington, D.C., we have what we call the flight crew on the ground crew. And they come on the bus with us. They help us through the airport, and they live in the Washington D.C. area. So our crew from Madison goes with medical crew, and has bus captains along, and there's enough people there to make sure that things are taken care of. We also take the media. When we get a chance, so think about that next year.
But I know this past, I think it was last year, our very own Justin the Ninja Wilski had the opportunity to take part in the Badger Honor Flight and videoed that entire excursion and put together a wonderful tribute video, and people can go and watch that on Daily Dodge TV.
It's beautiful, and it's he did a great job with that.
He did.
I was on the flight with him, and he did. He worked very hard on that.
Yes, he did. It was a lot of weeks of a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into that video, and it turned out fantastic.
That's the second time somebody from the radio station went, and Craig Wormbolt went before that. And the same thing was a beautiful report.
Yes.
And
it's an unbelievable experience just to witness that firsthand.
And one of the things about that is we find that our veterans not only is it a trip of a lifetime, but it's something they never forget. And our families many times, when a veteran passes, they'll say we're going to have the memorials go to the honor flight, which helps a lot for a flight. A flight is running around $140,000 to $150,000 right now. When I first started, it was in the $80,000 bracket, and it's gone up quite a bit.
Inflation, I'm sure, has changed over those 15, 16 years since that first started.
Yes, it did. So any veteran who has served in the U.S. military one day during December 7th, 1945, and to May 7th, 1975, any branch of the service is welcome. And any component, active reserves, National Guard, and served anywhere. So it doesn't have to be in a war zone. Remember, the military is like a bicycle wheel, and there's spokes in there, and that wheel doesn't work unless that spoke is in there. So every spoke needs to be in place, just like the military. And no matter where they served, I hear a lot of guys say, well, I just, I did this or I did that. I really didn't. No, every part of the military is important at any time. The World War II Memorial is one of the main ones that we go to. Of course, the Marine Corps Memorial, the Vietnam and Korean Memorials, Lincoln Memorial, Arlington National Cemetery for the changing of the guard. And that's usually the first thing we go to in the morning when we get there. And the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, of course. Then the FDR Memorial and the Pentagon and the Women's Memorial and the Air Force Memorial. Now, we don't do all of those. It all depends on how many flights are in there. And we arrange this ahead of time with National so that we're not bunching up in one place. I can remember being on a flight that there was like 9 or 10 different honor flights in Washington, D.C. at the same time. Yeah, that's a lot of buses, by the way.
That is a lot. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And usually we have 3 buses. At one time we had 4. We had a lot of World War II veterans that were going, and this is a while ago. And so we got a 4th bus, and that was just set for the people in wheelchairs. And that worked out really well. So we accommodate everything we can. Oxygen, people are carrying oxygen. We can accommodate that. We have equipment for that. Excuse me. And I just looked here. The actual honor flight idea was created in 2005. So
coming up on 20 years since the idea was first concepted.
That's correct. Earl Morris, who was a physician's assistant, was the one that started this. He started with he worked at the Veterans Hospital, and he could not. The World War II veterans he was asking them, "Are you going to get to your memorial?" And they're like, "Well, we'll never get there. It's just not going to work out." So his first flight was with private. He is also a pilot, and he belonged to a club, and they had, and I can't remember how many planes it was. Their first flight took 12 veterans and 6 Cessnas. I have it here. In the meantime, Jeff Miller, son of a World War II veteran, also started the Honor Air in Henderson, North Carolina, and they decided that they were doing the same thing, so they merged together, and it became something that is nationwide.
It's incredible to see how much that's grown over the last almost two decades.
Absolutely,
that's awesome to see.
Since then, over 275,000 veterans have been made the trip at the end of 2023. So, end of 2024 will, of course, be bigger. There's 44 states that have 130 hubs, and we have 6 in Wisconsin: Duluth, Superior, La Crosse, Appleton, Wausau, Milwaukee, and Madison. Our hub alone in Madison has flown over 5,050 veterans on 57 trips. We're flying 6 times a year, and is a goal to take about 90 veterans on each trip. So as you look at that, that's a great accomplishment. And we have been just very blessed to have people donating money. We have companies that say, well, we're going to have you can give some money towards honor flight, and we will match it up to, say, $50,000. And these companies, these people in there, will come up with the $50,000, and so we'll get $100,000 out, and that pays for just about one flight. Yeah. We have fundraising throughout the year. We have a golf tournament that raises anywhere between $70,000 and $80,000. One of the things that I think, we are a 501c3, which is a nonprofit organization. They are 100% volunteer, and 96 cents of every dollar given is given towards the veteran. So that 4 cents helps pay for the computers and online stuff and paperwork. So that's a pretty big chunk, And like I said, everybody's volunteer, and there's a lot of work. Next year's flight, flights have already started the day we landed from the last flight. And the progress of it. They're already talking to the airlines, trying to get a bid in for the Saturdays. We've decided Saturdays is the only day we can go. Yeah. The airlines, the airport in Madison, we tried it during the week one time, and it just did not work out real well for the airport. And it's harder for families to be there to welcome the people home, too.
Yeah, because that's such a, sorry, also don't mean to interrupt, but that's such another cool component to this that, I mean, every time we have you on in the past to talk about Badger Honor Flight, it's the call to have the public, and it doesn't have to be just the family of the veterans. It could be anyone in the public to show up at the Madison Airport to welcome the veterans home, because a lot of times they didn't get that sort of celebration or that sort of welcome when they came home from serving the first time that they arrived home.
Absolutely. The welcome home is something that we have, and I can remember my experiences coming home, and we were spit on, called names, and we threw our uniforms in the garbage. There was 5 of us coming home, and we landed in Chicago, and and there's more to that story, but I don't want to tell you about it.
I'm intrigued, but we're talking about Badger Honor Flight today.
But a friend of mine who now has passed, he was a Vietnam veteran. And went on the flight, and I was on the flight with him, and he said, after all the welcome home was over, and he came up to me and he grabbed me and he gave me a big hug, and he had tears in his eyes, and he said, Jim, he said, I waited 50 years for this. He said, I felt like there was 50-pound weights taken off of my shoulders. He said, I felt like I was appreciated for what we did, and it's the just reward.
It's important. It's important to show that there's gratitude, that there are people alive here that are appreciative for the service that the veterans provided.
Absolutely. When the war in Iraq started and all those things that were going on, the Vietnam veterans were the first ones to be at the airport when the flights came home.
They knew.
Yeah, and our motto was we're not going to let them be treated the way we were, and I think that was a great motto. But the welcome home, we've had as many as 5,000 people at the welcome home at the airport in Madison. It's phenomenal to see these people, and we have an alumni group too. So if you went on the flight, there's a special place for you to sit and welcome the veterans as they come off the plane in the terminal. And it's a lot of fun just waiting. We usually have a band or a DJ playing, and then there's music and entertainment during that time. But the welcome home, the cheering goes on for 45 minutes. And it's just a wonderful feeling to know that these guys and gals have received the welcome home they want. The other thing is we had one flight that was strictly women's flight. And that was sponsored by someone, and that was an interesting flight. That was very, very good. And then we had some flights where there were husband and wife team that they were both in the military together, and so it's been an interesting.
Do those again? I'm sorry to interrupt, do those flights? Is it when you get applications in, or realize that there's enough here to fill a flight of all women or all husband and wife or a specific group of people? Is that something then that works in the minds of volunteers that think, all right, let's plan a flight just for these individuals?
Yeah, that's what they do, and we have a great volunteer group that sits down and does that. They're phenomenal. They spend as much time working on the flights as I think it's like a part-time job, more like a 3/4 time job, because there is planning that goes on every day to get this going. The airport has been gracious enough; they give us a room where we can put our supplies in there. The airport, Dane County Airport, has just been great to us. It's interesting. Many times, all the people who are on the flight will get a pass to not have to pay for the parking there. when you have 3,000 to 4,000 people there, there is a lot of people exiting that airport at one time, and they make accommodations. They open up all the lanes, and they have a couple people making sure that you get through without having any troubles, and they go all out. We have meetings ahead of time before the flights with the airport, the operations, the airlines, the fire department, the EMS group, the Red Cross. All these people are part of that, and the volunteer chairman and the volunteers of each committee meet during that time, and we talk about things. And every time we discuss something that might have to be changed or done, and it's very good. Since Dane County has expanded their terminal, and it helps us a lot too. So it's been very nice.
Jim, is there? We only have a few minutes left here in our first segment. The time just flies by so fast here. But with that time left, I just want to make sure that we are able to highlight where people can go to learn more or fill out an application if they have a loved one that they want to send on these flights. Is there a website or phone number that people need to know about?
Yes, the website is badgerhonorflight.org, and there is a phone number on there. You can fill out the application right online. And also, if you want to print it out and mail it in, you can do that. The phone number is there, and it goes to a recording. It's not answered 24 hours, but there is somebody who gets a message right away that there's a message, and they call you right back. And then you have questions about the honor flight. We get a lot of questions about, can we do this or can we do that? Or the big question is, if I fill this out, how long do I have to wait? And usually it's now it's going down, and it could be anywhere from a year, 6 months to a year, depending on how well everything goes. We have some people who pass on when we pass the first time because there might be difficulty, or I had one friend whose daughter was getting married the day of the flight, and he said, I go on this flight and I will never see my daughter again. But there are things like that. But the waiting list is in the 700 to 800 range. So it's online. Many of the Legion and VFW posts have them, the flight. You can call the number and we'll see that you get one. If you have difficulty in filling it out, we'll help you. We trust you. We don't ask for your discharge papers. And it's been a great group of people.
Fantastic. Again, that's badgerhonorflight.org for people to go online and fill out those applications and to get on that waiting list, around 700, 800 names long so far, as Jim had mentioned. But we're just about out of time today on our first segment here of Community Comment, but I want to thank our guest here in our first segment, Jim Bublitz, with the Badger Honor Flight. Jim, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having us, and we appreciate your support for the veterans.
Absolutely.
It's been very great.
It's so important to do. And speaking of all the support for veterans, again, I want to note that we have a couple of more guests here on Community Comment coming up. We're chatting with Marine Corps League Detachment 359 here in our next segment, and then right around 1:30, we're chatting with the Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin organization. So more coming up here with local veteran groups here on WBEV. Again, Veterans Day on 95.3 WBEV is presented by K&B Trees, Gina Omeg State Farm, Hometown Glass and Improvement, and Charleston House. Again, more Community Comment is coming up next.
Director Kevin Haugen.
Well, thank you very much, and welcome back into our second segment here this afternoon on Community Comment, the highlights focusing on local veterans groups and all the wonderful things that they do to support those who deserve that help once they are done serving our country. Again, in our first segment, we had the pleasure of talking with Badger Honor Flight and Jim Bublitz. I forgot to say this in our first segment, want to thank Jim for his service to our country, a Vietnam War veteran. So I want to thank Jim for his dedication to our country and the time that he served there in that conflict. And here in our second segment, it is my pleasure to welcome in our second guest here on Community Comment this afternoon with the Marine Corps League Detachment 359. Now, that's a Beaver Dam located organization group. Am I saying that correct?
We meet in Beaver Dam.
Okay, that's exactly what I was going off of, so that's perfect. But with me here this afternoon in our second segment is Jeff Krako, again with the Marine Corps League Detachment 359. Here they meet in Beaver Dam. Jeff, thank you so much for coming in with chat with me today.
Certainly, it's my pleasure.
And also want to note before we get into our conversation with Jeff that Veterans Day on 95.3 WBEV is presented by K&B Trees, Gina Omick State Farm, Hometown Glass and Improvement, and Charleston House. Appreciate all those groups supporting what we're doing here today with Veterans Day and shining the light on all the local groups that spend a lot of time helping those, again, that deserve that support here after they are served our nation. But Jeff, before we dive in really in depth in our conversation here, I want to kick things off with a little bit about what the Marine Corps League Detachment 359 is, and just give our listeners and viewers a little bit of background on what that organization is.
Well, the Marine Corps League is a nationwide veterans organization. Our detachment is from all over the area. Sure. We have members from Madison. We have our quartermaster lives in Horicon. Our commandant lives in Reeseville. I live in Columbus, actually. So we're from all over. But the Marine Corps League is Marine-centric. So we concentrate on Marines and helping Marines. I like to say we are Marines that continue to help Marines, because once you are a Marine, you're always a Marine.
Now, is that something that is that true for you, Jeff? Have you served in the Marine Corps?
Oh, yes, I did. Yep.
What were your years of service, Jeff?
1974 to 76.
1974 to 76.
Yeah, it was at the end of the Vietnam War, and they needed people, so they were offering 2-year enlistments, and I took one.
Well, we appreciate your service, Jeff. That was, I can't. That's an unimaginable thing for a lot of people nowadays to even think about going through. But that was such a common thing back then.
Well, it is. Back in the day, it used to be 10% of Americans joined the military. Yeah. It's down to 1%. And of that 1%, only 1% of them become Marines. So we are the smallest unit. And with the Marine Corps League, we are the smallest veterans organization also. In fact, a lot of Marines don't know about us. So I'm trying to get the word out there that we are here. Marines are a unique bunch. A lot of times I say Marines are committed, or maybe they should be. But we try to get, because every Marine is trained the same. Not all branches do that, because they have certain skills that they want to perfect, but every Marine is a rifleman first. So our boot camp, and I think we're the only ones that call it boot camp. Most call it basic training. But our boot camp, everyone is trained exactly the same way. We are ready to fight, and we're all riflemen. Whether you end up being a cook or like I was supply, you're a rifleman. So when fighting comes, you got to be ready.
Like you just mentioned, once a Marine, always a Marine mindset that never goes away. As you said, that once you are long and gone, your time in the Marines is in the rearview mirror. That thought doesn't ever leave your mind.
It doesn't. My wife sometimes gets a little frustrated with me that I may be doing a little too much, but I care about them. And the Marine Corps, the League is Marines, but we will never turn a veteran in need away. I just talked to our COO in D.C., and he spent about 2 hours in his office with an Army veteran who was having a lot of difficulty. And so we're there. Yes, we do think of Marines first, obviously, but we will never turn anybody away that needs help, them or their family. So that's what we're really here for. We make money but we make money to help veterans, and that's our sole purpose.
Yeah, but before we dive into a lot of the specifics of that help and how people can reach out and get involved and support your organization in any way that they can, I would like to ask Jeff, how did you end up working with this Marine Corps Lead Detachment 359? Is it something that you had heard about and wanted to, once you heard about it, knew you wanted to get involved, or just how did your path lead you to this organization?
It took a little while. Like I said, a lot of Marines never heard of the Marine Corps League. Everybody's heard of the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars, VFW, and so, but the Marine Corps League is small and it's different and not as noticeable. But I found out about them I saw some things on social media, I think is what I first started, and then I got a hold of that person and say, hey, how can I become involved? And it just blossomed from there.
And how long have you been now with the Marine Corps League?
I joined in 2007, I believe.
Okay, so coming up on 20 years.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It's been a little bit, but I did get very heavily involved. I went from being a member at the detachment to becoming the detachment commandant to becoming the Department of Wisconsin commandant, and now I am the Central Division Assistant Vice Commandant. So that covers 6 states.
Wow.
So I do care about veterans.
I would say so. And maybe if we have time, hopefully if we have time, we'd love to dive into what essentially that role looks like, serving 6 states. Essentially, that cannot be an easy task. But I want to focus our conversation now on what services are offered to those who do reach out, and the help that you guys can provide to Marine Corps veterans, or just veterans in general that would reach out and help. What does that service and help look like from you guys, and what help do you offer those who have been in the Marine Corps or served in any capacity?
Well, again, being Marines and all Marines being trained exactly the same, it's important for Marines to be around Marines. We understand each other. Like I said before, we're committed, or maybe should be. But also, we have a program that's called Marine for Life, which helps those transition from the military to civilian life, helps them get jobs, helps them understand their benefits, helps them understand family life again. We just held our birthday was yesterday, but we held our birthday ball on Saturday night, and I was talking to our guest speaker, and he married his wife while she was still in high school, and they got married because he got orders for Cuba. And so he had to leave, and he said, let's get married before I leave. And so, she was alone right away. And he says, when you come back, when your spouse is taking care of all the family business type stuff for a year, and then you come home, what do? Do you say, no, we're going to do it my way? Do you let your spouse continue doing whatever he or she was doing, and then you feel like nobody, you're useless. So it's a tough transition, and you gotta make it work, and that's what Marine for Life is all about. And getting into that and starting them younger, we have a youth physical fitness program, which kind of took the place of the presidential fitness program back when I was in school. It died away, and we think it's necessary to keep kids physically fit again. Yeah. And so we have that, and we're just really getting into it here in Wisconsin. I visited a school in Columbus, a private school, trying to get them to do it, and I'm working on getting a hold of the athletic director at the Columbus Public Schools to try to see if we can get something going with that.
Now, that's such an interesting, maybe not a side tangent, but that is such an interesting component to this too. Is we always talk about the older veterans, the veterans who are coming in after looking for help after they had served their time. But there's also a focus, it seems like, for your group to look at the younger generation and set them up for success here as they grow older.
Yeah, I was at the Columbus Veterans Day program at the high school, and they interviewed a guy, and he says, my idea of a veteran is an old guy. It was always an old guy. And then he was interviewing someone because he must have been some kind of a community service thing when he was in, and it was a 19-year-old kid that was in Vietnam and saw everything that Vietnam had, and it wasn't pretty. And he says, here I am, 30 years old, thinking veterans are all old guys, and this 19-year-old kid saw death. Something that many people will never see. kind of death.
Is something with the Marine Corps League that you guys can offer? Is it just having somebody that they can talk to, just somebody that they can lend an ear to, and if they need to get something off their chest and talk about their experiences? Is that something that you guys are able to do with them?
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
That's 90% of recovery for any military person, is being able to talk and have someone listen and not cut them off or whatever, or go, yeah, I know what you're talking about. No, you have to be caring and considerate of them. They've been through a lot, and everybody reacts differently to things too. So you have to be compassionate for them.
Yeah. Now, if there are veterans out there who, like you said, the message here is getting the word out and letting people know that this organization exists and that they're here to help and assist in any way possible. What is the best way to get a hold of the Marine Corps League? And is there a website? Is there phone numbers? How can somebody get involved or reach out to get involved?
There is a national website. It's MarineCorpsLeague.org, and it's actually mcleague.org. And it'll get you, and then you can find a detachment in your area and stuff like that. But for any person in this area, they can call my phone number anytime they want. I'm retired. That obviously doesn't mean I answer the phone all the time. I do have things to do, but I'm willing to talk to anyone that needs help.
And for those, for maybe the other side of it, we talk about, you just mentioned if those who are returning or want to, or who had served years ago and maybe are just learning about this now and want to get involved in and want to take part in the services that the Marine Corps League Detachment 359 can offer here in our listening area. Is there opportunities for also those who have served, who have those experiences that you have, Jeff, or others that are a part of this group, that they can come in and also volunteer and give of their own time too to help support those who need it as well?
We meet on the first Monday of every month at 6:30, 18:30 for your Marines. And we meet at the Veterans Center here in Beaver Dam, 300 Michael Avenue. And so we're there. If you want to help, come and join us, come visit us, see what we do. We do fundraisers. Mainly our fundraisers are April through October, and that is the second Saturday of every month at Chester Bandits BP in Columbus. He's very gracious to allow us to do that every month. And
is it a brat fry?
It's a brat fry, and we have brats, burgers, chili dogs, pickle on a stick. Oh. And so, we got all kinds of good stuff. And even have pulled pork most of the time.
Fantastic. So. Now, with these, you mentioned that these fundraisers happen. I believe you had mentioned the spring until mid-fall is kind of the window that those take place. What are some of the ways that those funds generated through those fundraisers benefit the Marine Corps League, and how are those dollars put to good use to help veterans in need?
Well, one, we give to Honor Flight, so Jim Bublitz knows us. But we also give scholarships, and our scholarships from our detachment go to anyone going into the health field. And we do that to honor our corpsmen. The Marine Corps does not have doctors and stuff. We rely on the Navy for that, and so we always have their corpsmen. We thought that was a great way to honor them because they did so much for us. We do the Heroes Hunt in Horicon, and we give to that because anything veteran-wide is what we again, concentrate on veterans. So we want to help them out, and we donate to them a lot. Our average, through COVID and since COVID, we've averaged $10,000 a year we gave away. Wow. And we only have, I think right now, like 26 members. And so we raise that much to be able to help them out. And that's what our money's for.
That's fantastic. That's awesome that that much is being able to raise by, you mentioned 26 members here, and I'm assuming you would agree, it speaks to the passion that all 26 members have towards serving this cause and helping veterans in need.
Well, not only the veterans, but the communities.
Exactly.
That they support us that way, that we can do these things, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah. Again, we're chatting with Jeff Krako here on Community Comment with the Marine Corps League Detachment 359. It's sort of like the local chapter of the Marine Corps League that meets here in Beaver Dam. That was every first Monday of the month. You had mentioned that they meet here at Michael Avenue at the American Legion.
Correct.
So if anyone out there listening who wants to get involved and support that organization in any capacity, what time again was it? 7 o'clock? That's
6:30.
6:30. So if you are interested, 6:30, American American Legion, Bikel Avenue here in Beaver Dam. You can go and be a part of that cause and support what they're doing at the Marine Corps League. Now, Jeff, you mentioned that you are, and I apologize, I cannot remember the name, but essentially you oversee 6 states here when it comes to the Marine Corps League, correct?
I'm the assistant to the one that oversees it.
Okay, so but you are anybody who has an assistant, I'm sure will say they're just as important as the person who is overseeing everything and is in charge. But what is that like, coordinating with these 6 different states? I might quiz you here. What are those 6 states that you are a part of?
It is Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio, and Wisconsin.
Okay, so you passed flying colors. Didn't even hesitate once I asked, which is great. But what is that coordinating effort look like, just to come together to help all those organizations at different chapters and all those different states work together in the betterment of veterans and their communities?
Well, the biggest thing is to make sure they're doing everything we're supposed to be doing, helping Marines, helping veterans, raising money so that they can do these things. And we just continue to work with them. We have contact with them constantly. My boss, the national vice commandant for the division, he took 3 of the departments, and I took the other 3 for going around and visiting them, making sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and encouraging them. I think that's the biggest thing for any volunteer organization. They need encouragement to keep going. And we don't want them to go off on their own tangent. There's things they can do on their own that others don't want to do or whatever, but the main purpose, we have to keep the main purpose in sight.
Yeah, when working with these other chapters in these other states here throughout the country, is there a message? Is there something that you're hearing from them that the community doesn't necessarily know that they need to help and support of these veterans? Is there, whether it be monetary donations or just giving of actual supplies? Is there something that there's a gap that needs to be filled to help veterans in need?
Monetary is the biggest thing, because then we can go out and buy what we actually need. But the thing is membership. The more members you have involved, the more things you can do. And we're falling down here in Beaver Dam, and I know there's Marines around here that don't know about us. And I just held every November 10th, I tell our detachment, I'm going to raise a toast to the Marine Corps. No matter if nobody wants to join me, then I'll do it at home. But if you want to join me, we pick a place. This year, we were at Sauer's Old Fashioned. I put it on the Beaver Dam chatter, but the only people that showed up were my detachment members. And that was a little sad, but I didn't give them a whole lot of notice either. So, again, you got it's tough now with social media. It's tough finding the proper way to communicate with people, because not everybody does the same social media things. And it's more difficult than when we actually had papers and stuff. And
it's so funny. I feel like nowadays it hasn't been easier to communicate with the masses, but getting your message to everyone is still a challenge because of how different people consume things and how people different read and where they get their news and information from. So it's a challenge to make sure you reach as many people as possible to make sure that they know and are aware of this.
Yeah, I think it's more of a challenge now than it used to be. Yeah. It's very much more difficult. I mean, I could let you guys know, and you could advertise for us, but I know not everybody listens to this station anymore either because of other media availability. There's just so much out there, and I think it's harder for you guys now to maintain everything that you want to do.
Exactly. No, I would agree completely. Jeff, looking ahead maybe to the next 5, 6, 7 years down the road here, is that kind of the direction of the Marine Corps League here, is to continue to grow its membership, to get people to be involved and to come out and support the cause that you guys have?
That's our hope, to keep growing. Yeah. We're down to about 65,000 members nationwide. That's a very small amount when you think of the whole nation. So we want to grow, and we want Marines to know about us. That's difficult. We've been doing pretty well in Wisconsin. We have 3 reserve units, and they are visited by detachments every month they have drill. So they know about us. So that's a good thing. We got to get more involved in those that are no longer active duty or active reserve. We have to get in touch with those guys, and hopefully they are listening and can get a hold of us. And they can call me anytime, 920-210-2388. Give me a holler. I'll help you out.
Fantastic. Now, if a veteran does reach out and they are interested in getting involved with the Marine Corps League and having assistance through the services that you guys provide, I'm assuming then too it doesn't just stop after that first week or that first meeting. It continues on for as long as this veteran or whoever this individual is. They need that support. You guys aren't going anywhere.
We don't plan on going anywhere. We want to be around for a long time. There is restrictions that every detachment has to have at least 15 regular members, and by regular members I mean Marines or FMF personnel. FMF personnel is Fleet Marine Force. That's like our corpsmen that earned the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor so that they can be a regular member in the Marine Corps League. But we do accept associate members. My wife is one, and that is for those that love Marines. And I always kid her. I said, I hope she loves at least one of us. So, but she loves us all. She's a very hard worker. She's actually our chaplain, and helps does a big part of the organizing of our birthday ball every year. So she's very active too.
Again, we're chatting with Jeff Krako here on Community Comment with the Marine Corps League Detachment 359. They meet here in Beaver Dam at the American Legion on Bickel Avenue here in the city of Beaver Dam. We only have a few more minutes left here in our second segment of Community Comment. So with that time, Jeff, I know you just mentioned the phone numbers, but I want to make sure we hit on this as much as possible before we let you go today. Where and how are the best ways for those who want to reach out to the Marine Corps League and get involved and want the support that you guys can offer? How can they reach out and find that information?
The best way for locals is to call me. 920-210-2388. They can go online to mcleague.org, and they'll get things popping up there, and the national website will show where detachments are located and how to get a hold of people in that detachment.
Again, we're chatting with Jeff Krako here on Community Comment with the Marine Corps League Detachment 359. Jeff, thank you so much for coming in and talking with us today.
Well, it's not a problem. I enjoy being here, and I enjoy what you guys do, too. You've helped us out in the past, and we're looking forward to some more help.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Again, thank you also for your service, too, Jeff. We appreciate that as well. But we still have another segment of Community Comment coming up in our next segment. Again, we're talking with the Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin. So that's coming up here at 1:30. Again, Veterans Day on 95.3 WBEV is presented by K&B Trees, Gina Omeg State Farm, Hometown Glass and Improvement, and Charleston House. More Community Comment is coming up next. Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon. Welcome back in here to Community Comment, our third segment this afternoon, and our Veterans Day highlights here of local organizations and all the wonderful things that they do to support those who need the support and who desperately deserve that help here in the community. Again, want to thank our sponsors today. Again, Veterans Day on 95.3 WBEV is presented by K&B Trees, Gina Omick State Farm, Hometown Glass and Improvement, and Charleston House. Want to, again, thank everyone there for supporting what we're doing today with highlighting all the veterans and veterans groups in our area and the support that they do in our community here on Veterans Day. In our first segment, we talked to Jim Bublitz with Badger Honor Flight. In our second segment, we were joined with Jeff Krako with the Marine Corps League Detachment 359. And here in our last segment of Community Comment today, it's my pleasure to welcome in our third guest here, Dylan, and I hope I am pronouncing the last name correctly. It was kind of a rush to get everybody here and set up and situated, just a quick turnaround here between guests. So I did not have a chance to double check the pronunciation on the last name, so I'm going to say how I think it's pronounced, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong, Dylan. It's Richter.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
yes.
Fantastic. So we are joined with Dylan Richter here on Community Comment with the Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin. Talk about some of the current needs for veterans in our area and some upcoming events that we're highlighting here for that organization as well. So first off, Dylan, thank you so much for taking the time this afternoon to join us here on Community Comment today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It was quite a drive. It was about 2 hours, so it really.
My God. So maybe this is the best question. Where are you guys coming from? Because I don't have that information here. Where are you guys traveling in from?
So we're located in Racine, Wisconsin.
Yeah,
so
that's quite the haul.
About an hour and 45 minutes away, but I really do appreciate you guys having us on today, just so we can get the word out.
Yeah,
that's a big goal of ours, is getting our brand out there so that we can reach as many veterans as we can. So
that is the whole point of what we're doing here today is getting that message out and highlighting the work that these local organizations are doing. And this local organization that we're highlighting in this segment here is Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin. Dylan, for those, again, is it based out of Racine? Is that kind of the hub of this organization, or is it all over? Just sort of.
So it's a two-part organization. So the first part of it is a tiny home village where we assist homeless veterans that come in and are struggling with homelessness. So we can house up to 15. Currently, we have 15 tiny homes. We're looking at getting another one zoned through the city, so we're looking at a 16th. But yeah, it's located in Racine. The other part of the organization is also located in Racine, and it's the marketplace that we do.
Okay.
And that's so it's literally across the street from the tiny home village. So it's the marketplace is just a food pantry where we service about 250 to 300 veterans a week.
Wow.
That come in and shop for free. So, and both parts of the organization, it's one organization. It's a nonprofit, as a whole. So,
and maybe that's a good place to sort of dive in quickly to your role, Dylan, with the Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin organization, and what do you do in the capacity in your role with that organization?
Yeah, so I am the marketplace and warehouse manager, so it's pretty much just in charge of the marketplace. So my day-to-day would be just making sure that the food is stocked, that our staff is all ready to go, and that we offer the best experience for veterans as they come in, because we don't want them to feel like our last intention is for them to feel like it's a charity. Like while we know that it's a charity for them, we don't want them to feel like, I'm coming here begging for food.
Pity. You don't want to
Exactly.
be a pity handout.
Yeah,
type of
yeah. So our goal is to make it as inviting and as warm for them when they come in. And part of how we're doing that is we have a lobby that looks really nice. So when they come in, they wait, and then when they get into the marketplace, they can pick the things that they want. Like, so we fill up the marketplace, they can pick from the different drinks, they can pick from the different food, and we try to keep that full on a daily basis. And then another big part of our organization is our volunteers. So the veterans tend to really get close with our volunteers, so we try to make it, like, we have a really robust volunteer program. So when they come in, we have about 2 to 3 volunteers that are there every single day.
Wow.
So that's my job, is making sure that the volunteers are there, making sure that the marketplace is full, and making sure that it runs smoothly throughout the week. So
Fantastic. Now, Dylan, is this something that you've had a passion for, serving veterans and helping out in this capacity? Or how did you find yourself in this role?
So it's funny because I actually am not a veteran myself, but I really do have a heart for it. I think I just growing up in my community, just noticing that veterans aren't always treated the way that they should be treated. Like it's like, I think there was a stat, 13% of all homeless Americans are veterans, and that's not acceptable, because I think I want to say it's 0.2% of the population as a whole are veterans, but 13% of all homeless people are veterans. That's unacceptable. So I just developed a passion for helping the veterans because I think it's an underserved community, and I think that it's something that needs to be focused on a lot more. So
Great. So again, if my memory serves me right here, so Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin, it's sort of a twofold operation that you guys, you have the villages side, where I think you mentioned you have 15 of these tiny village or tiny town. I'm so sorry, I forgot how this is.
tiny homes.
Tiny homes.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dylan.
Yeah.
I am so sorry, I forgot that. Tiny homes. That you said 15 of those currently right now.
Yes.
With the planned zoning for a 16th here.
Right.
Is that the goal then? Is to keep building that up and continue to build that as much as possible?
So I think our eventual goal right now, we're just focused on optimizing what we have and making that look the best and raising that success rate. But I think the eventual goal would be to continue to expand across Wisconsin. You know, it's Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin, so a big future goal of ours would be to continue to expand. So I think that's always up in the air. That there's always a hope for that, I think.
Great,
With
fantastic.
an organization like this. So.
Yeah, and the other side of this is the marketplace, where veterans can come in and pick out needs that they have that they can fill with that marketplace. And for those watching on our stream, Daily Dodge TV, we do have a graphic that highlights the current needs for veterans in that market. And Dylan, being the warehouse manager involved closely with this, kind of walk us through some of those needs and how important it is to get those things. Is that all filled through donations? People, send checks, and then you guys go. But how does that process work?
Yeah, so it's quite. I didn't think it was as involved as it is, but it's quite like a very, I should say, it's a very involved process. So that's our needs list that we created, and it's subject to change. Because I think it was October 2023, we experienced about 170 visitors per week, right? This October, we've experienced 270.
Wow.
So that marketplace has grown by over 40% in terms of foot traffic year over year. So we base this list based on what the veterans are taking on a daily basis. So right now, what we're really looking for is shelf-stable product. Things like dinners, peanut butter and jelly, sandwiches, noodles, pasta, and then obviously things for Thanksgiving that we got coming up too. So a lot of times and it is like, just to answer your question, it is based on donations. Everything we get is actually donated. So we develop relationships with different organizations like Amazon, Kroger, Target, Walmart, just to name a few. Our biggest ones are probably Amazon and Kroger that donate the most to us. But sometimes with the nature of donations, you can't always control what you're getting.
Right.
So we'll get 12 pallets, and 11 of them will be drinks. And it's not to say we don't appreciate the donation, but we have certain needs that we have for the marketplace. So it's a big balancing act, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's about you never want to say no to a donation, but it's like you had mentioned, it's about meeting the needs for veterans. So if a veteran has a specific need, it's not always getting filled by the constant stream of donations that you have with a lot of those relationships that you mentioned that you guys were able to build out. Is it an opportunity for the public then to maybe find and purchase specific donated items? Is that something that you guys more than welcome, having people come out, buy some food and have that be dropped off at your facility? Is that something that you guys would welcome as well?
Yes, that certainly is. We definitely encourage that. We get a lot of that every day. there's people that come in and drop different things off, and it's a huge help. I want to say we're averaging right now about 65,000 pounds that we get in. So the months of August, September, and October, we averaged about 60 to 65,000 pounds received, and we're outputting right around a little bit under that per month. So the public does bring in, and this is a huge part of our operation, the public brings in a lot of food every single day. So yes, that's something we definitely encourage and appreciate for sure.
What's the location of this marketplace and the hours for those who I know it's a little bit of a haul from our listening area, but
Yeah.
Again, word of mouth is so important. I mean, you have people in the area who live close by. You know, people can say, "Hey, I heard about this wonderful organization, this nonprofit that is doing this for veterans. We want to be able to help and get involved." Where can people go to drop things off in the hours that are associated with this marketplace?
So we're located in Racine at 1624 Yount Street, 53403. No, 53403. I'm sorry, 53403 in Racine, Wisconsin, and our hours are. So we're there Monday through Friday, but the marketplace is open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
So Tuesday we're open 10 to 4, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Wednesday we're open 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. and then Thursday is 12 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay.
So roughly about 15, 16 hours a week that we're open to the public to come shop.
Gotcha.
But operations is always there, staff's always there Monday through Friday. So.
And it's not always looking here at the list too. It's just not always food. Sometimes too. It's paper products. It's
Yep.
dish soap. There's other bat towels. There's other needs and necessities that can be filled through donations via the public who can go out and if they are able to support and give. It's just not always food like we had been mentioning.
Yeah, so just to clarify this part, so we do non-food as well, non-food donations as well. So obviously things like hygienic products like deodorant, shampoo, toothpaste, shaving products. Paper products are a scarce thing that we always love to get in, but when they check out, we do it by weight. So they put their food that's in the cart on the scale, and then they put their non-food on a separate scale. So we weigh them out and we do our metrics by food and non-food. Okay. And we do the same thing when we get donations in. We also do it by food and non-food. Mm-hmm. So non-food is just as important as the food, in my opinion. They need that too. So. And
it's not a Goodwill or St. Vincent de Paul. There are things that people cannot drop off, such as like furniture, used clothing. Right. There are some things that are toothbrushes is another one. Looking here at the list, there are certain items that people cannot drop off here at the
for sure. There's certain things we have to have discretion with. You know, we don't want to give away used clothing and then it has germs on it or things like that. So. And another thing we don't accept is furniture because we don't really have anywhere to house that. So.
It's not an easy thing to take in a giant couch or
if someone don't get me wrong, if someone comes in and the way that we are there, the way that we're run is like if someone comes in and they need help with something sincerely, we'll do our best to find them those resources. We're pretty connected in our community, so we're able to find like, hey, I don't have a couch and I don't have a bed, and we'll point them in the right direction. But we don't obviously have beds on.
In stock, ready.
Right.
Exactly. Now, with the marketplace now, Dylan, being the warehouse manager there, is there opportunities for those? You mentioned volunteering is such an important part of this. Is there ways that people can get involved and help out in that, whether it be stocking shelves or checking items in? Where is the need for help in that capacity?
I think you said it best. Stocking shelves, helping with preparing the marketplace for opening. And you can get involved through our Facebook, obviously at Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin. It's a page on Facebook that you can follow. Or you can also find us at our website, valvillages.com, and then you can always inquire there too. But that's something we definitely encourage is volunteerism. It's something we rely on for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned the website there, valvillages.com. That's VOWvillages.com that people can head to and and learn more about the wonderful things that Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin is doing. Again, we're joined with Dylan Richter here on Community Comment, the warehouse manager, marketplace warehouse manager, excuse me, at with the Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin here on Community Comment. And there's a couple other things we want to hit on and discuss here on Community Comment today. One of them is an opportunity to support their cause, which involves a $20 donation that people can to give out and support there as well. And Dylan, I'll let you kind of explain the finer details of this point. But what is this way that people can get involved and help out if they want to look at supporting Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin in this capacity?
Yeah, so it's kind of a two-part support. So we're allowing, or I should say, we're giving away shirts for a $20 donation, and what that does is that allows people to wear our brand and help support our cause in that way, while also giving us a $20 donation that also goes towards things like food. Actually, this month we're just experiencing so much foot traffic in our marketplace that we had to buy some food. We had to go ahead and purchase some food so that we could support the veterans through the holidays and stuff.
I'm sure it's, again, I feel like this time of year is so important. Every time throughout the entire year is so important. But when you get closer to Thanksgiving, you get closer to the holidays, I'm sure the need and the people who need that help, it just ratchets it up to a different level. And having more people who can help and support is so important this time of year.
Yeah, we're doing a turkey drive for Thanksgiving. We're giving every veteran and their family a turkey 1 week before Thanksgiving so that it can unthaw and everything. And we're also giving them a bag with all the necessary Thanksgiving items in it too, because they deserve a Thanksgiving too, whether they're struggling with food insecurity or not, so.
Again, that's support our cause, $20 donation. We'll give those who donate a Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin t-shirt. And it's also a great opportunity to further promote your brand and get your name out there. People can wear those shirts out and about, and people can say, I've never heard of the Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin. And
I think that's huge. I think that's so huge with what we have going on, especially this year. It's been an amazing experience for me, just seeing, the community get involved with us. And I think wearing that brand around just really helps us out all the more, so.
Again, and that people can make a donation or pick up the shirt at the Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin office or the marketplace. Is that where people can go to?
Either one. They could go, so the tiny home is across the street from the marketplace.
So it's right in the same area.
We're all there. We're all there every day. Okay. So either one works. Yeah.
Fantastic. One more time before we move on to some of the other topics. One more time. What's that address that people can go to for picking up, or either donating or picking up a shirt and giving that $20 donation?
1624 Yout Street, Y-O-U-T Street, Racine, Wisconsin, 53403.
Fantastic. That will not be the last time I ask you, Dylan, but it sounds like you already have it memorized, so
yes,
I don't have to worry about asking.
I would hope I have it memorized.
Fantastic. So another event here that we want to shine a light on is the Everly's second annual Food for Vets. That's taking place now here throughout the month of November and December. And Dylan, what does this entail?
So this is, I think, we're a big part of this event, as well as the Racine County Veterans Office, I think, is putting this on. I want to say that the owner of the ice cream shop is a veteran or has a close family member that's a veteran that's looking to get in on the cause, and he reached out and they were able to put together this food drive. And all this does for us is allow us to make the event for the drive for our Thanksgiving more available. So like I said before, we're giving a bag with all the necessary Thanksgiving items in it, so this just fuels that. So it's kind of two in the same thing.
One event really helps feed into the other and supports that. And
sorry.
It's like a domino effect. It's a chain reaction that one event can be supportive of another one, and all donations for that can be dropped off at 308 6 Mile Road in Caledonia, Wisconsin 53402, and that is throughout the month of November and December. There's also 5 baskets raffled per month at a value of $100 each. Now, those for people, those for veterans. I might be putting you on the spot here, Dylan, so I apologize. I just see this here on the flyer. Is that something that people?
That's okay.
Is that people who donate, or is that somebody that for what is the basket raffles? What is that about?
So I'm actually not too sure about the basket raffles. I think it's just a raffle where they're giving it's worth $100, and if you join the raffle, it's I think it's I'm not too sure about
so,
that.
but you have no. I'm putting you on the spot here.
That's okay.
I just saw it pop up, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. That's a fascinating component of this event. So people always like a good basket raffle. So anytime that pops up, I always like to see if we can.
Yeah,
share.
we love doing raffles. We love doing raffles.
Is that something with the marketplace that you guys or with the Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin, you guys do in other capacities throughout the year? These basket raffles to help raise funds.
Yes. So what happens is sometimes we get things in from Amazon that we can't necessarily put in the market. Oh. So what we do is we do baskets like that are obviously these ones are valued at $100, but sometimes we have different things like electronics that we'll put in the basket, and they can join the raffle and obviously get a chance at winning those things. Right. And that's our way of utilizing those items, because we're not going to put a $500 iPhone or whatever in the marketplace. So we put it in a basket and they can raffle on it. So.
Great, fantastic. Again, that's Everly's Food for Vets fundraiser here throughout the month of November and December. Again, all donations that can be dropped off at 308 6 Mile Road in Caledonia, Wisconsin. So, again, I know it's a little bit of a haul for some of those listening here in our area, but again, word of mouth is so important in events like these. So, be sure to share with friends and family who happen to be near the area, or unless you're traveling near the area soon, you can help support that cause as well. Another event here that we have coming up here, not too far away here on November 17th, is the Tribute Fest. And Dylan, what is this event? What's this event all about?
So I think it's mainly just a fundraiser at Bub's Irish Pub. And it's in Germantown, and I believe that our director and his wife will be there.
Great.
So if you want to go to that, you get a chance to meet the director of it all. But it's an event that we're doing. We like to ramp up our events before the holidays because it just draws awareness towards such an important time for people, and we want veterans to feel a part of something during this difficult time. For some veterans, it could be very difficult during the holidays, having not a lot of family or not a lot of money and means to provide for their families. So we try to make these events so they feel as a part of as they can.
Yeah,
so.
It's building a camaraderie, a fellowship, a group, and a friendship, and having people not feel alone during these holiday seasons. That's so important. Again, that's a Tribute Fest Sunday, November 17th at Bub's Irish Pub in Germantown. I would say the address, but it might take me like 5 minutes to read through that. So if you just Google Bub's Irish Pub, in Germantown, Wisconsin, you'll.
How far is Germantown?
It's about a 55-minute drive from us. So it's a bit of a haul, but it's certain. I have family that lives in that area, so I make that drive quite often. It is not a bad drive. So if you're looking for something to do on November 17th, you'll have live music, there's free parking, drinks. It starts around noon, and I'm seeing some question marks on when it'll wrap up. So you can, I'm sure, have an opportunity if you can't make it right at noon.
Yeah, I think noon till whenever, because people will be drinking and everything.
So you don't want to put an end date for an event like that. So just come out, have fun. Again, the Tribute Fest, Harmony, Hope, Heal presents Tribute Fest. That's on Sunday, November 17th at Bub's Irish Pub in Germantown. All, again, helping support the wonderful work that Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin is doing here that we're highlighting. We just have a few minutes left, Dylan, here in our program this afternoon. And with that time, I want to refocus back on the marketplace and kind of where your expertise is and where your time is mostly spent with this organization. And just one more time, let our listeners, our viewers know how they can get involved, where they can go to learn more and support everything that you guys are doing in that organization there.
Yeah, so the best way to get involved, obviously, like I said, is donating. That people don't understand how far that actually goes. Like, our donations are what keeps us, what keeps us going, and what the reason that we have jobs. So the reason that we get up every day and are able to help these veterans is because of the donations and the grants that we receive. So the biggest aspect of our what we do is receiving donations, and that helps us keep going. And like I was saying before, another big part of it is volunteerism. So if I know it's far, I know it's about an hour and a half away, but if you can make it down any day, it would be greatly appreciated, and it goes a long way for the vets. We just recently we had to dig for some volunteers. Like, we were really looking for some good volunteers to come in, whenever they can. We have some volunteers that come once a week, some that come once a month, some that come for an hour, every 2 weeks or something like that.
I'm sure an hour given by a volunteer is extremely helpful for what you guys are doing.
It's touching that someone would come and give their time completely to the cause. So that's the biggest thing, is donations and volunteerism. I think that's the biggest way to get involved, or even just spreading the word, sharing posts on Facebook, following us on Facebook, liking our posts. The more engagement that we can get, the more people that we can reach. And we're always looking to expand, but right now, I think we're experiencing a lot of growth, and I don't think sometimes it's hard for an organization to grow like that. I think we're in the midst of experiencing it right now, because we've gotten 100 more visitors per month, which is a 40% increase. We've gotten a 40% increase since last year, and that's a huge, insane amount of growth. And I think we're getting a lot more people inquiring about the tiny homes. We have other nonprofits that are reaching out to us, asking how to do this. How do we get this organization off the ground? So just the impact that spreading the word has is huge. So
great, it's awesome to hear. And before we let Dylan go here, what is that address one more time for people who want to visit the marketplace?
Yes, the address is 1624 Yout Street, Y-O-U-T Street, in Racine, Wisconsin, 53403. And you can also call us at 262-221-8350. So
fantastic. And the hours, if my memory serves correct, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, is that, or is it Tuesday?
It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
That's
but
what it
we're
is.
always there.
Okay.
So if you ever have a question, if you ever want to give us a call, if you ever want to stop by, we're always going to be there. So, and it's not just, while we have the tiny homes in the marketplace, we're there for a lifeline for veterans. If they need help with anything, we can point them in the right direction. So.
And if people want to, again, learn more about the Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin, all the great work that they're doing, they can go to vowvillages.com. Again, that's VOWvillages.com. You mentioned a Facebook page. Is it just Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin? They can just search for that on Facebook, and it'll pop up with your organization, and they can follow you guys on there as well?
Yeah, Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin. Yep.
Fantastic. Again, well, we're just about out of time here on Community Comments. I want to thank our guest here in our third and final segment this afternoon, Dylan Richter with the Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin program. I appreciate him making the very long drive, and we have somebody else here from Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin. Couldn't get him on the mic here today. Maybe if we have him on again, maybe down the line, we can entice more people to come on and talk about that great organization. But appreciate them making that near 2-hour drive to come out here to Beaver Dam to talk about the wonderful things that Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin is doing. Dylan, thank you again so much for coming on Community.
Yeah, of course. There's nothing I'd rather be doing on Veterans Day than spreading the word about veterans. So I appreciate it so much. Thank you, guys.
Wrap up the show on a better note than that. But before we sign off, again, I want to thank our sponsors today for Veterans Day programming. Again, Veterans Day on 95.3 WBEV is presented by K&B Trees, Gina Omig State Farm, Hometown Glass and Improvement, and Charleston House. And on that note, I want to say thank you for tuning in to our Veterans Day programming here on Community Comment.